Hey there, welcome to the Summit Host Hangout podcast where you'll learn how to plan, strategize, and launch your profitable online summit. No influencer status necessary. I'm your host, Krista from Summit in a Box, and we're on a break from our regular series format to take time for a couple fun episodes. Today, I'm so excited to bring in Erin Perkins to talk about accessibility in online summits. With Erin, we're going to cover accessibility-related issues in online summits that she's experienced herself, how those issues are harmful, steps you can take to create an accessible summit specifically for the deaf community, and what to do if you don't think you have anyone who is deaf in your audience. Erin has also created an incredible roundup of resources for making your online content more accessible, which you can get at mabeleq.com/accessibility, and I've linked to that for you in the show notes. To give you some background information on Erin, she's the owner and designer behind Mabel EQ, and she's a deaf business owner. Even though design is her focus, she really felt called to provide information and resources to make it easier to create accessible content. When she first started her online business, she was pretty unsure about the obstacles she'd face in the online business world as a deaf person. And when she started searching for coaches or online courses, she quickly realized that a lot of the content she wanted to invest in wasn't accessible to her. That led her to try to find a way to help others see the value in making their content accessible, and it's what led to our great discussion in this episode. And since I know a lot of you are wondering how someone who's deaf could be interviewed on a podcast, it was actually really great. She brought along an interpreter to the interview who translated what I said for her. So I hope this also helps you see that deaf business owners can also be incredible summit speakers. Do not rule them out. So without further ado, let's dive in and talk with Erin. Hey, Erin, welcome. Thank you so much for being here and having this really impactful, important conversation with me today. I'm so excited to dive in with you.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm really excited to be able to talk about my platform with you as well.
I'm just honored to have you on here. And before we dive into what we're talking about today, which is really making online summits more accessible overall, I want to hear a little bit more about you. So tell us about yourself and your business and how you got started with the discussion of making online resources more accessible for the deaf community.
So my name is Erin Perkins, and I own Mabel EQ. And I started off as a virtual assistant and a graphic designer. My background is in graphic design, because that's literally everything I do. But I also have the personality of always wanting to, I'm super organized. I love behind the scenes stuff. So I kind of fell into the virtual assistant, and I started May 14th of 2018 last year. And actually 3 months into my business, I was realizing that I need more than this, because it gets kind of lonely as a business owner. And so I started joining Facebook groups. I saw that somebody was hosting an online challenge. I was like, great, awesome. And I did that. It was all through Facebook. It was super easy, but I came across that they would do Facebook video, and I was like, well, I can't understand that because I'm deaf. And so I reached out, I was like, hey, can you make the video caption? And she didn't know how to do it. And I was like, oh, they asked me. I didn't know how to do it either, because I've always had resources provided to me growing up, so it was never something that I really had to be oh, I need to do this. So when I got ready to sign on with a coach, a group coaching, I was like, I would love it if I can get full benefit out of it. Can you make sure the resources are accessible? So she did transcript, which actually helped quite a few people else out in the group. It wasn't just me for being deaf. There were also other people in the group that also had limitations, but they would never think to ask for that. And then I also signed on with another coach later in the year, and I was like, I want to work with you, but you do a lot of video. She actually took the time to caption all her videos for me. So it kind of spitballed into something that was, people just didn't know what to do. they were like, I want to provide resources, but no one really knew how to go about it. So we were like trying to figure out, and they're like, well, you should do it. And I was like, wait, me? No. Because I was like, no, I'm not comfortable with this. But because I'm much more willing to do the research, and there's so much content out here that is amazing, but it's not necessarily accessible to everyone. And I don't fault anyone for that. And I was like, okay, how do I get started? So I sent out a survey to everyone. I used my network really well. So I got 130 people to respond to it, which is amazing. And as I was reading through the results, most people's answers were time and money. No one has the time to do the research because everyone that I met are usually a one-woman operation. So I want to create a resource guide that will allow people to start baby steps. I don't want people to feel overwhelmed with like, oh my God, I need to create all these resources for everybody. That's just not going to be possible. But I think we can find a solution that will accommodate just the right amount.
Yeah, I am so grateful for you helping to bring this to the forefront. And like, I love what you said and what you brought up, that people, they're not trying, like purposely leaving out like the deaf community. They just didn't realize that they needed to do anything extra. I mean, it's definitely a privilege that we don't realize it,
Right.
But it's really great to see that they are willing to help and go the extra mile when they realize they have to. And that brings me to a question I was actually planning on asking a little later, but something I hear a lot, and I've been guilty myself in the past of thinking this, is, well, I don't think I have anyone deaf in my audience. What would you say to someone who was thinking that way and using that as an excuse?
I think you actually would be surprised. It's not necessarily the person that identifies as deaf, but there are actually a few other people that I've met in the community that they don't. I asked them, like, do you identify as deaf? And they said, no, I don't. But they still need the resources, but they don't know how to ask because they were raised completely differently than I was. I was lucky. I was raised where my whole family is hearing, except for my older sister. So my parents made sure we had speech therapy. We for like 9-10 years. They made sure we knew sign language. Not all parents are given those kind of resources. I was lucky. I had those resources. So it's just really dependent on where you grew up, the resources that the doctors give you, and the resources that the parents are willing to do, and they go from there. So I've always had access to resources. A lot of my friends that I met in college, most of them didn't know sign language. So using the relay like I do actually wouldn't be beneficial to them because they wouldn't understand the interpreter. So they've always like found loopholes. But now everything's online, video, audio. It's like, okay, if someone like you really honestly never know. Podcast is a whole nother thing. There's so many deaf people I know that want to listen to these podcasts, and they're not accessible at all. And we're all like, you really never know. Even if it's one person, that's one person's life you're going to change.
Exactly. Yeah, there is really no way to know. Even if you ask, you're not going to know. So the best thing to do is assume there's even one person that you can help by, doing what we will talk about today. And that kind of leads me into, let's kind of transition and talk about online summits specifically. Have you participated in online summits before? And if so, how? Were you an attendee? Were you a speaker? How have you interacted with summits?
So I participated in, I think, 2 online summits. Like they were, I guess, like maybe across the course of like 3 or 4 days. It's like I can hear some, so I would have to put like headphones on, and like I really have to focus. But not everyone has a clear speaking voice. So there are some people that I could understand no problem, but then there are some people that actually have a very low speaking voice, and it's like super quiet. And even though if you record it, it's still like, wait, what they're saying? Everyone has different like ways of speaking. We ask them. accents are literally the worst thing for me. I mean, if I get someone from Australia, don't get me wrong, I love to hear them talk, but wow, they are so hard to understand for me. So it's just like, so when I did it, I after like the first 2 days, I was tired. I stopped. I didn't even bother because I was like, there's so much information. I want to be part of it, but I'm deterred from it because I don't feel like I'm getting full benefit of it. And that like kind of bummed me out because like when I hear people, like people in my network are like, I'm going to be on this and I want to support them, but I can't. I'm always, yeah, no, can't do it. It's too much, and it's like, how do I explain it? It's the concentration that it requires actually stops our energy.
Yeah.
So even if it's 1 hour of just full concentration, it's a lot more exhausting than 1 hour for a person that doesn't have any like different abilities.
Yeah, when we're listening to presentations like that, we can have the presentation up, have Facebook open, be doing something else on a different screen, and still, get some of the information. But I can't exactly imagine it, but I'm picturing you like sitting there having to like even have your eyes closed, just listening as hard as possible to try to process the information. And that just sounds exhausting. So it sounds like the biggest accessibility issue for online summits is the presentations themselves. Is there anything else we should consider with online summits that you've run into, or is the presentations really the big part?
I would say presentation definitely. The chat room is not too bad. Like I like that, but that like there was one summit. I think it was Vanessa Ryan. She did a summit. However, the captions were only accessible in YouTube.
Oh,
so I
okay.
couldn't be on the platform where the chat room was. So that like really threw me off. I was like, awesome, and caption, but it can't be in the chat room.
Yeah. Okay.
It's YouTube, so I found that a little weird.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, that makes sense too. So what is the most helpful thing for summit hosts to do to make their presentations accessible? I'm guessing that transcripts or captions will come up. Is one better than the other, or is there something else they should do to help even more?
Caption to me would always be number one because you get to read it in real time as I can hear. I do have some hearing capabilities, so I like to be able to read and like listen at the same time. But if you're lip reading someone, I don't lip read, but like you can actually catch. If I don't have my sound on, I'm watching the caption and I'm seeing someone talking, I can tell when the timing's off, and it drives me insane. It was like way worse back in like the 80s. Like, oh my God, this is horrible. I can't do it now. But transcript, that is fine. But I feel like you missed out on the nuances. Like, say, someone joking, someone serious, or someone asking a question. You might not catch that in a transcript. And I feel like I'm a much more visual person, so I like to hear. I pick things up better when I hear and read at the same time. If I'm just reading, I just skim through. Some people learn better just by reading. It really varies. So if you can provide options, or at least when you're promoting a summit, at least say if you have any specific need that you need in order to participate in the summit fully, please reach out to us.
Yes.
Figure out who your audience is and make sure you have the best resources available. The problem is, I know a lot of times when people are promoting summits, you only promote them for like a week or two, and all the content is already planned out. So I don't know how that would work.
Oh, I definitely think it would work. And we can talk about like the services and stuff in a minute here. But especially going in, just assuming that you'll have at least one or two people with some kind of hearing disability and, planning into the process, having captions and or transcripts. Before getting to know you and talking to you about this more, I would have assumed that I would have just gone with transcripts. But now I can see how captions would be so much more helpful, because then you can be taking part in the live portion of it. You can be watching the video just like everyone else, picking up on, the way the speakers are saying things, like you said, participating in the chat box live. And I think that sounds like the best way to do it. But like you said, including transcripts definitely wouldn't hurt either. My question to you then is, what tools have you found that will allow people to do this quickly, affordably, or the best way?
So there are actually a few tools. I've reached out to a few companies about this, and I still haven't tested them out, but they've been super open and the all kinds of stuff. So Temi is a subsidiary of Rev. And Rev.com does video text and they do transcripts. Temi is more, and Rev is by people. It's actually performed by people, while Temi is just automation.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I've used Rev before. I've used them for a ton of transcripts. They do such a great job. Right now it is $1 a minute. And I've actually they just launched an automated version for transcripts for 10 cents a minute. And I've tried that out too. And it's really great. The automated version, they turn those around within a couple minutes of uploading them, and having a person do it, I usually get it within a couple hours. So it is so fast. I have not tried Temi before. I definitely need to do that. But it's great to hear that there are resources out there. They are affordable, and they're quick and easy and accurate. So there's not a huge barrier to doing these things.
There's another resource that I talked to, Quick QUICC. I asked them because their prices seem to be a bit higher, because it's $12 a month for 10 minutes, $35 a month for 35 minutes, and $80 a month for 80 minutes. And I was straight up with them. I was that's pretty expensive. They actually said they feel like they're in line with Red.
Okay.
So that's fair, but they're just more in automation. It's not people that are doing it. So I find that interesting how they price that out.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting. I was okay, if that's what you say. Let me see what else have I found. But I've been so busy this month that I've been slowly doing the research. And I've also reached out to a few other people that also have different abilities than me. There's SpeedScriber. This is available on your Apple phone, and it is 30 minutes for $15. They transcribe your captions on your phone.
Oh, interesting. So that could be helpful for Instagram stories is what I'm thinking of. But yeah, that's good to know too. Something that doesn't require the computer to get it working. Awesome. So those are really great resources that I would love to see everyone start using more for summits. And especially the automated options. Right now, if Rev doesn't increase their prices, the 10 cents a minute, that is as quick and affordable as it gets. And it's totally worth doing for an online summit to help people feel more included, even if it's just one person, like we said earlier.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about, I hate to bring it up, because there will be some people that will bring up the ADA law, the American Disability Act law. I don't want people to be scared of it, because there are some people that would say, what is the ADA law? But this law only applies to businesses that are over 15 employees.
Okay.
So most of us small businesses, it's about whether or not you want to do it. So I want you to feel like I want to do it, but also don't run yourself out of business because you're spending so much money on trying to do all this accessibility. There was one person I talked to. She has a different ability than I do, and she was like, we both started getting into the whole web accessibility, and it got to be it's huge, but when I asked the company for a quote on what it would cost to make sure my website is accessible to everybody, no matter who it is, they quoted me $8,000 to $15,000 a year.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, yeah, no, that's completely out of business. So that's the biggest thing I want people to feel like. Baby steps. Take baby steps. Do what you can do. Don't feel like you have to do everything. If you need help with something, just reach out to me or reach out to your network and see what you can do. There's plenty of apps on for Instagram that will let you caption your stories. If the apps don't work for you, like Clip-O-Matic, and they're not like me at all, just quickly type out clip notes of what you're saying. Just do little things to build interaction. And a lot of us really do appreciate that. I follow a lot of bloggers, and a lot of bloggers have been doing more Instagram stories. I'm like, I love you, but I can't understand your Instagram story. So I asked them, and they're like, oh yeah, okay, I'll make sure I do that. It's a matter of asking. You don't demand. And I think that has what made people being more open to wanting to accommodate me and with everything.
Yeah, I love your point about baby steps. Even if you just start making a little effort to include people, you are making a difference. And like we talked about, with the 10-cent a minute captions, that's probably about $3 per summit video, which right. is a great step in the right direction for not a ton of money. So I guess I thank you for, just letting us know that the baby steps are okay as long as we're trying. I would love to know what the number one takeaway is that you would want summit hosts to get from what we talked about today.
I think I just want people to realize that, there is going to be one person out there. And my biggest thing right now is I'm kind of wanting to flip the script a little bit. I would love it if instead of people saying disabilities, is using the word differently able. Because I don't know what it's like to be hearing at all. I don't. I never knew what it's like. So to me, I'm just differently able than you. We just have different abilities. So I'm trying to get the twist, flip it, and a lot of us actually prefer to be called deaf and not hearing impaired, because hearing impaired just sounds like a negative tone. Yeah. So that's the thing, and the biggest thing is always ask them how they would like to communicate, because everyone has a different way of wanting to communicate. And not everyone can speak like me. I'm fortunate that my parents had that ability to make sure I took speech therapy, so I'm very lucky with that. Not everyone can speak like me, but I'm trying to get more deaf people into this community, because your audience creates some of the most amazing content, and there's money to be made out here from the resources you provide. So I really want to keep that going, and I just want to be a support to show that we can work together really well, and we're not just another box that you need to check off.
Yes. And I'm so glad you brought that stuff up too, that we need to get better at listening to what your preferences are, how you want content provided for you, how you want to be referred to, I guess. So I'm just really thankful that you are starting to teach us, because we don't know otherwise. So I would love to know where everyone else can go to learn more about you and keep up with the resources you are creating and what you're doing online.
You go to my website, MabelyQ/accessibility, and I am still working on the resource guide. I ended up connecting with a few other people that I think will provide valuable insight as well. I wanted it out yesterday on July 31st. That did not happen. Life happens. So it will be a free resource guide that you can print out and keep with you, and I'm hoping it will be something that will provide people with simple step-by-step of what tools they can use and how to use it so they don't feel like overwhelmed with like, oh my God, I have to pack in all my videos. But don't feel like that. Don't just, it's all good. Just baby steps.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I'm definitely going to link to that resource page. I'm so grateful that you are creating stuff like this and really helping everybody. So I'm hoping anyone listening to this will, be able to start taking even small steps towards making their events more accessible. And I thank you for making it possible. Thanks for being on today. I hope this episode helped you realize the importance of making your summits accessible and how easy it can be. Any amount of effort you can put in is worth it to allow even one person to experience your summit when they wouldn't have been able to otherwise and would have felt pretty left out. Be sure to check out the resources and information Erin has put together for us on creating accessible content. In the next episode, we'll be chatting about a little of my story before I hosted my first summit and how self-doubt held me back from doing it for a really long time. So if you're feeling intimidated by the idea of hosting a summit, definitely tune in for that. I think it will help you see what can be possible for you if you just get over that fear. Now go out and take action to plan, strategize, and